much winning if I get elected that you may get bored with winning.
Your Voice Radio. Your Voice Radio.
I humbly and gratefully accept your nomination for the presidency of the United States.
The silent majority is silent no more.
These are people who work hard but no longer have a voice. I am your voice.
Your Voice Radio. Your Voice Radio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bill Mithcell with Your Voice Radio. Thank you for joining us for our program. This is January 30th. Can you believe it? We're already through the first month of 2017. It is a Monday night, and this is our inaugural night. I'll steal that word. With RSBN TV. We are now joining their wonderful programming. We're going to be on their show Sunday through Friday evening. We're going to have the regular roundtable on Sunday night that everybody's gotten used to, everybody loves. And then Monday through Friday, we'll have just what you see tonight, myself, two wonderful co-hosts, and then guests on the show as well. This is a 1 hour program, but it will go by very fast because it never lags. This is smart, fun radio. And if this is the first time joining us tonight, we hope you enjoy our program. If you don't know who I am, my name is Bill Mithcell. I'm relatively well known on Twitter. I have about 182,000 followers. And my Twitter feed on election night for the 24 hours, it did about 88 million hits. The reason for that was that I became well known as an expert in polling, not just looking at the top line numbers, but understanding the internals of the polls so people could get a better grip on what was going on. And, the media kept saying, you can't readjust the polls. The polls are right. And I was saying, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're oversampling Democrats. Trump is going to win this. And Trump won. As a matter of fact, I guaranteed, even 6 months out, 100% guaranteed that Donald Trump was going to win this election. And I was right. If I had been wrong, you probably wouldn't be looking at me right now. But I was right. I was right. So here we are. So thank you to RSBN TV for having us on their program. We hope that you enjoy it. Tonight, I have two of my favorite co-hosts with me. We have Carrie Kellman from Dallas, Texas. How are you, Carrie?
I'm great, Bill, and I'm very grateful to be with RSBN. There was no better way to watch a Trump rally during the primaries than on RSBN on YouTube. Absolutely fantastic. They were the ones that turned their cameras and showed the crowd. So grateful to them.
Yeah, very good. Outstanding. And we also have Ginger McQueen. She is a new co-host with the show. We actually met her at the Deplora Ball in Washington, D.C., and I was just impressed with her personality, her bearing. I found out that she's a reporter, and she'll tell you a little bit about that right now. Ginger, who do you report for?
TheBeltwayTimes.com.
The Beltway Times. And what do you do for them? You're just a writer, right?
I am. I write.
That's very good. And how can people find the Beltway Times? Is it just BeltwayTimes.com?
BeltwayTimes.com, or you can find us on Twitter at Beltway Times. Okay,
very good. And Ginger is based just an hour west of Chicago. Isn't that right?
Yes, I'm in DeKalb, Illinois.
And Richmond, I thought it was Richmond, Indiana. Is that not right?
That's my hometown.
Oh, that's your hometown. Okay. Well, okay, folks. She's originally from Richmond, Indiana. Okay. Very good. So tonight we have a really good show for you tonight. We're going to talk about some of the things that are going on with the travel ban that Trump has in place, some of the polling that's happening. Trump says that he has got his Supreme Court pick chosen. We're going to talk about all that tonight. We're also going to have two outstanding interviews. First one is with Richard Baris. He is a pollster with People's Pundit Daily. I don't know if you follow People's Pundit Daily or not, but they were one of the most accurate pollsters this cycle. They're very, very strong pollster. And we're going to talk about the kind of polling that he is doing as far as Trump's approval ratings versus the PPPs and the Q polls. You know, I can never get used to saying PPP poll. It just sounds funny, like a joke or something. But anyway, Yeah. So, yeah, we have Richard Baris on tonight, and he's going to talk all about the polling, what's going on. We're also going to talk about the possibility of a Republican supermajority in 2018, which would be great news for everybody in our group here. Next, we have Dave from New York. Dave is what we call a citizen journalist. On this show, we have a lot of famous people on. We have a lot of famous politicians, actors, so on and so forth. Pundits come on the show as guests, but we also have just regular folks that are just like you, and they're out there and they are making a difference. They've got a story to tell, and that's the story with Dave today. And Dave is going to give us inside scoop on what's going on with the confirmation process. I believe he says at this time in the process, Obama already had how many cabinet members approved? 12 or
18?
18 cabinet members approved, and Trump has only had 4. So we're going to talk about a little bit of that Democrat obstruction that's going on. So, well, first of all, let's talk about this terror ban. And I'm not going to call it a Muslim ban because it's not.
It's not.
87% of Muslims are not included in this. This is just countries that are the same ones that Barack Obama decided should be watched and that we should be careful about them sending people to us. And it's just a temporary ban. It's not a forever. What Trump is saying is, let's just have a pause so we can figure out the vetting process and how it should work. I used the analogy the other night. If you come home and the pipe in your basement is broken and it's gushing water and there's 2 feet of water on the floor, you don't run down there and start trying to fix the pipe. You turn off the water first. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. He's turning off the water, taking a pause, and just re-examining our vetting process. And my message to those that are all bent out of shape on this is, what is the hurry? Are we running out of people in America? Do we not have enough humans running around in this country? Why is there a rush to fill this country up with these refugees and these people from these dangerous countries? These are people that do not believe in our Constitution. Why is the left so anxious to fill our country with people that do not believe in our Constitution, whether they be illegal aliens from south of the border or they be these refugees? What is their end game here? What do you think, Carrie?
I think they're trying to get new voters. If you can be Santa Claus and hand out a bunch of freebies, then you get super majorities. You get to be in power for longer. But they're losing voters. They've aborted a lot of their own voters. You know, and they're turning off a lot of them because let me tell you, disappointments in life can either make you bitter or better. They've chosen bitter, and their reactions, oh man, their reactions to the results of this election are turning middle Americans way off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the whole drum circle crowd. You know, we talked about that last night. There's that liberals have got a genetic disorder. It's the Latin name is drummus circulus. And it affects them all. That if you smoke enough pot, it releases the drummus circulus gene, and you become a liberal protester. And one of the signs is that it looks like you're got stuck in a time warp back to what was the big music festival? I just completely spaced it. The 60s, you know.
Oh, the Woodstock.
Woodstock. Thank goodness this is Your Voice Radio, not Jeopardy. I just would have lost horribly on national TV. Woodstock. Okay. Yeah, so they look like Woodstock rejects. It's just funny. I was in D.C. at the inauguration, and a group of these young people, 19, 20 years old, walked by me with the long dreadlocked hair and the tie-dyed shirts. I'm like, guys, where's your time machine? And can you tell me what the lottery numbers are? Because you obviously have the ability to travel through time. I mean, it's 2017. Come on. So yeah, it's really remarkable. So what do you think about all this, Ginger?
Well, I saw Chuck Schumer today crying and Trump asking him about who his acting coach was. Yes. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it really is amazing.
The next 8 years is going to be filled with every weekend. It's going to be like the 1960s, and that's fine. We don't care.
Yeah.
Go ahead, protest. I think that eventually people will become weary of these protests. They're going to lose all meaning, but the left doesn't have an end game here. They're going to continue to keep using those same tactics that they've always used, their threats, and we don't care anymore. So it's not effective. I think it's fantastic. Please continue.
Yeah. The old games just don't work. The old games, watching the Democrats right now reminds me of watching the Washington Redskins. I'm a Redskins fan. It used to be great to be a Redskins fan about 2 decades ago, but it's been very frustrating for a long time now. And one of the things that's the hallmark of the Redskins is that they'll go in at halftime, and most teams make adjustments at halftime and come out and do things differently in the second half. No. Mm-hmm. The Redskins, if they're getting their butts kicked in the first half, they will come out and do the exact same thing in the second half. That somehow sticking to the game plan is sacrosanct, and there's some great value in that somewhere. They don't adjust. And this is what the Democrats are doing. In the olden days of Bill Clinton, they would triangulate back to the middle. When Bill Clinton lost Congress to the contract with America, he triangulated to the middle and actually ended up taking credit for a lot of what the Republicans were doing. And Republicans had a bad case of humility. They would never stand up and take credit for anything they did. And so Bill Clinton just, stepped into the vacuum and said, sure, I did all this. And now he's on record as creating this great economy and that sort of thing, when actually the Republicans had to drag him kicking and screaming. So he triangulated to the middle. The Democrats, their idea is that, we need to head further left. We need to go more Bernie Sanders on this thing. And their problem that they've got is they're losing all of their donors. I mean, all the big money that gave them, millions and millions of dollars are very unhappy right now after this election cycle. All those people that gave money, those sketchy foreigners that gave money to Hillary and her foundation, they're like, Hillary, I think we need to have a conversation. You told me you would win. You have my money. Let's talk. I'm serious. I think it's got to be a little scary for her out there right now. So, and also the unions, the unions just got together with Trump. And let me see. I have it right here on my thing. Okay, I don't have, but I'll tell you what happened. Okay, the Jimmy Hoffa got together, with Trump. And they talked about the unions, and they were just like, man, this is great. We're so happy with the things that Trump is doing. What happens if the Democrats lose the unions? It's another blue wall. I mean, we broke down the blue wall in the Rust Belt. We had Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. That blue wall, gone. Blue collar, white workers. We got those. This was an area that the Democrats held for decades. That blue wall is gone. We're at the inner cities with Ben Carson. We're going to have fantastic urban revitalization. We're going to have education. We're going to have better jobs. We're going to have better living conditions for the inner cities. That's a blue wall that's going to fall. Now we've got the unions. I mean, what are Democrats going to do? What do you think, Carrie?
Well, if you give the African American, the inner city communities, all of these communities school choice, there goes another blue wall. Because people stuck in poor performing public schools, if they get school choice, there goes that base. Let me tell you something. The teachers unions are going to be freaking out here. But another reason I'm hopeful, Bill, that this reaction is not going to last. I remember as a kid, we had a snake get into a fish pond. I'll never forget my dad chopping the head off that snake with a hoe, and how long that body wiggled without the head. This is what's happening to the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
They're wiggling, they're writhing. They have no head. They have nobody in the White House. They don't have the majority in the Senate or the House, but they're still wiggling around, and it can't last forever. If emotions were a scale from 0 to 10, the Democrats on the day after inauguration hit 10. You can't stay there without wearing yourself out and without wearing out the people who are trying to understand what you're trying to say. So the Democrat Party has gone straight to 10. They've thrown the kitchen sink at Trump. They've really got nothing left.
They've got, I know. They remind me of, those fishing shows where they dump the big net of fish out on the deck of the boat, and all the fish are still trying to swim, but they're on the deck. It's like they're swimming like they're in the water. It's like, guys, you're not in the water anymore. You're on the deck. You're caught. And they're still making the same motion. They're not going anywhere. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Or those old cartoons where, all of a sudden somebody would be scared, they want to run away, and they, and their feet would go like this and no movement. It's just. And
another thing that the Democrats did to themselves is that they splintered their own party. they've got all these different little pieces. They've got these different little special interest groups. And so now they're just ripe for the picking. Trump can come and take the little pieces away from, like the unions, like the auto execs. And he's just, okay, if you've got fish flapping around on a deck, Trump is the seal that's coming up out of the water and taking all these little fish away from the Democrat Party. They already broke up their party into nice bite-sized pieces for us. Thank you very, very much.
It's really remarkable. And the thing is, the Democrats and the media can't respond to Trump just where we are right now. But the thing is that Trump is already thinking 5 and 6 moves ahead from now. You know, they're flailing now. What happens when the results start pouring in? You know, we've already seen a hint of the jobs and the manufacturing that's coming back to America. But what happens when the floodgates open and this really starts going, and Donald Trump's cabinet choices all get in place and they all start succeeding? Well, you know, the Democrats, I'm a very positive guy, but if I was a Democrat, I'd be damned upset right now. You know, what do you do? What do you think, Ginger?
Well, I heard a lot of talk radio people talking about how there was no one showing up at these Hillary rallies. And I thought, my gosh, could this possibly be true? So on Labor Day, Hillary had a rally that was about an hour from me. And after going to 4 Trump rallies, I thought it might be interesting to see what kind of scene she has going on. Well, I got there an hour early because I didn't need to be up front. After going to the Trump rallies, I waited 12 hours in line.
Oh, it's a commitment. Yeah.
There's no one. The guys that are waiting to get you through security are just standing there bored. And I'm like, what's going on here? This is weird. So I go straight in. No joke. I was there an hour before she went on. I was in the front row. There was literally no one there. And there were these signs of stronger together. There was no one to be stronger together with.
Unbelievable.
And what I thought was so poignant was one of the speakers prior to Hillary coming on had said, you know, and it was a union rally. He said, so if you hear any of your union buddies thinking that they might want to vote for Trump, you need to set them right. And it was at that moment I knew we had the Rust Belt. These are the people who have been hit so hard by NAFTA. Yeah. They've been hit so hard by all of these government regulations, which I know Trump addressed some of those today. And it's fantastic. You know, we have so much opportunity in this country, and I think that he's going to unleash that.
It's amazing. You know, we always said, make America great again. I think, and I'm not just being an eternal optimist here, but I think that America under Trump may be the best we have ever been. You know, it's just, I think that we are setting up a situation where America is going to become an investment gravity well. You know what a gravity well is? You remember Star Trek, right? Or Star Wars, better. Okay. Star Wars, the gravity well was where, you know, you'd have like the big Star Destroyer there, and they put out this gravity well, and any spaceships that were going through light speed and zipping by would drop out of light speed because the gravity well was like a big planet. Okay, we'll pull them out of light speed. And Trump is going to be like that. This economy is going to be like that for investment from around the world. You're not just going to unleash investment from Americans, but you're going to at least investment from all over the world. They're going to be like, man, America's got great tax rates. American manufacturing is back. America's growing. America's optimistic. And you're going to have careers instead of, you know, jobs under Obama were basically 94% gig work or part-time work. That means you used to have one full-time career with benefits, you know, where you went from basically 9 to 5 and you came home and you got to raise your family. And you went from that, you lost that job because of Obamacare and they had to cut back. You lost that job and you had to take 3 part-time jobs just to make ends meet with no benefits. You're working, you know, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. You don't get to see your family. Your kids are on drugs. Your wife is leaving you, you know. Cats and dogs sleeping together. I mean, all hell broke loose. And so it's just going to be better. Sorry, I stole that from Ghostbusters. I apologize. Yeah. Okay. No, but anyway, okay. Yeah, it's just going to be remarkable to see what happens. And I appreciate the fact that we have orchestra seats for this whole thing. And Your Voice Radio is going to be reporting to you as it happens. And you're going to see great guests on this show, names that you recognize, names that you've followed, and they're going to be on here, and you're going to get the inside scoop on what's happening in their brains and what their vision is for the future. So definitely stay tuned on rsbn.tv to the show. I think that you are going to enjoy it. Well, talking about guests, we have a guest tonight. First of all, this is Richard Baris. He is a pollster with People's Pundit Daily. They were one of the most accurate pollsters of the 2016 season. They weren't way off like all these liberal pollsters. They had this race tight, but Trump winning it. And that's how it turned out. So let's go ahead and jump right in. This is Richard Baris from People's Pundit Daily. Here we go. Folks, this evening on Your Voice Radio, we have a good friend of mine that works in the polling industry. As a matter of fact, his polling firm, People's Pundit Daily, was one of the most accurate of 2016. And he's been looking at some of the new polls that are coming out and comparing his results to what some of the big media pollsters are saying as far as Trump's approval rating. And there are some big differences. Folks, I introduce you to Richard Baris with People's Pundit Daily. How are you, Richard?
I'm doing well, Bill. Thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Now, for those in our audience who are not familiar with you, can you explain to us a little bit about People's Pundit Daily and how you poll and what you're all about?
Sure. We carry news too, but we did start the polling as part of it was in-house for some of our election projections, which we do for Senates and presidentials and gubernatorial races. And in 2014, we kept most of that to ourselves, Bill, so we could just use it for our model. Yeah. But we did really well with it when some others had a difficult time. So we decided in 2016 to release it. And we did because we found what we're finding now again, which is this just dramatic disparity between big media public polls and what we had. And we did well. We polled just about every battleground state, and including some of those in the Rust Belt, Pennsylvania, Michigan. I mean, we came within tens of percentage points. So really? We did well, and we're seeing this disparage again.
Yeah, that's amazing. I tell you, one of the things besides the media bias that was throwing off the polling or the national polling in this election cycle was that Hillary was winning the big blue states by so much more than Trump was winning the big red states. And, like we saw in California, Hillary's entire Hillary's entire popular vote win came from California. She dominated so completely, and that really skewed the national polls. As a matter of fact, the ABC polls right at the end, even though they said they had Hillary 4 or 5 points ahead, the internal said, but this is because she's winning the blue states by more than Trump is winning the red states. Because if you look at the battleground states that are left and the people remaining that still have yet to vote on election day, Trump is winning all these battleground states by 10 points. And that's what we saw happen. Trump came in big on election day in the battleground states. Is that what you saw too?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're starting to see some of this is an artifact of our system. The more competitive and polarized the country gets, we break it down, it's normally 8, but now Trump expanded the map, but you break it down to battleground states. And I think what happens, we saw this in 2014 as well, where, turnout, a lot of people post-election talk about how down it was, but that's not really true when you look in the battleground states. What I think you see happening is voters that know they're not in competitive states, Bill, do not get as excited as those who are in competitive states. Right. So, look, Orange County in California that you brought up is a perfect example. Trump, he romped it everywhere else, but in a place like Orange County, a last Republican bastion, he did not do so well. And that's partly, if you look at the numbers and compare the results, a lot of people it's not a competitive state, so they don't take, they don't take their voting they don't get as excited about it as other battleground states.
Right. Yeah, exactly. If you live in California in Orange County and you know that you're going to lose anyway, are you going to go and stand in line for 3 hours? A lot of people are just like,
that's exactly right.
California's lost anyway. It doesn't matter. But you know what? Hillary could have won California 12 million to 1, and she still would have gotten 55 electoral votes. So thank God that the founding fathers saw far enough ahead to figure that out. And in their day, Virginia was their California. That's why they set up the Electoral College, because they didn't want Virginia dominating all of their elections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I mean, they set this up to work this election was a perfect example. And they set it up to work a certain way, and it's amazing after, more than 200 years, it's working as designed.
Yeah, it really is amazing. I mean, you see the hand of providence in this country's history all over the place. I mean, how they could have seen it far ahead to do things that still work in our modern age is really, really remarkable. Well, let's talk about the approval polling that's coming out. You have Trump at what percent do you have? 57%, is that correct? Or?
Yep, that's absolutely correct. We have him at 57 approve and 40 disapprove.
Yeah.
This week was the first week that it was actually approval of his job as president.
Yeah.
Before we had it of the transition.
Yeah.
But it was still, his favorability ratings as well, Bill. I mean, we had them low for a long time as well. This is what. Some of this stuff I can't explain to you as what Quinnipiac and other people are doing. I really think, and I'm going to say this right here, right now, I really think some of these people should just, that's if they care about their reputation, they should just stop, retool, revamp, take a look at what you're doing. Otherwise, people like me have no other choice but to come to a conclusion that you're doing this on purpose. So I don't want, I'm not one of those guys. It's taken me a very long time to get, this cynical about what I'm seeing, but there is no explanation for it. When you're wrong for 3 elections in a row, and you've never been even more wrong than you were 2 months ago, your job as a pollster should be this. You're now the responsible thing to do. Quinnipiac is a perfect example. PPP, they literally missed every battleground state. Just stop what you're doing, take a look at what you did wrong, and come back and talk to us when you think you have it figured out. Otherwise, stop making fools of yourself, because that's what you're doing.
Right.
And, we had his approval, his favorability, they were in the high 30s. But now he's done a lot of image, he's done a lot for his image, and he's done a lot for among certain demographics that he was struggling with before. So we saw that as well. So there's no good explanation in my mind as to why they're not where Rasmussen and I are, or either Seltzer and company. They had his favorability ratings much better than these other pollsters. There's no excuse anymore, and they need to just stop. They'll retool and figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it comes down to who's paying the bills. I mean, they're just at this point. These are polls a la carte. Just whatever the media outlet that wants them, the media outlet goes to these guys, and I don't know this, but I'm just guessing based upon the results I see. They go to these guys and say, okay, this is what we're trying to go with. We need Trump in the high 30s on approval. Give it to us. And they turn out a poll that Trump's at like 37, 36%. And everybody's like, it just seems so absolutely insane.
It doesn't even make any sense, Bill.
It doesn't.
It doesn't even make any sense. When those union leaders left last week, week and a half, whatever, when they left, did it look like they had a better or a worse opinion of Donald Trump?
Right,
they
better.
gave that back to their members, Bill.
Yeah.
And the rest of the 30, 40% that still didn't like, they take that back, that message back to them. Mm-hmm. And it's just utterly ridiculous to believe. I mean, they're not even in the right universe,
right.
Let alone the right ballpark. I mean, to believe that he is now lower than what he won in the popular vote it's absurd.
It's
absurd.
Absolute madness. And I just saw a videotape today of all these small business owners that came out of a meeting with him, and they were almost in tears. They were so happy about him cutting back on regulations and freeing these people up to make a living and to succeed. Really amazing. Carrie, did you have a question for Richard?
I do, Richard. I agree with you. Just watching the polling this last election cycle, there's nothing to conclude other than they're trying to shape opinion instead of reflect it. Now that Trump is coming out with different policies and they're polling those separately, are you seeing the same kind of let's shape opinion games that we saw in the general election?
Yeah, well, Quinnipiac that's a good question, because Quinnipiac, not only with their approvals, they have, and everybody's quoting them, I think it was 46 or 42 on the ban. All right. Mm-hmm. No, first of all, that question is not worded correctly. All right. I mean, it's not a Muslim ban. I mean, as a pollster, you need to word it as it is.
Right.
We asked the question, and we phrase it as an immigration moratorium for predominantly Muslim nations known as hotbeds for Islamic extremism. All right, and then there's the all-out ban question, and those are separate things. And then, of course, we pull the refugee question even more separately than that. But in all of these, even in the more draconian policies, we find solid majorities. They agree with him, and of course they agree with him, or else he would not have gotten elected. I mean, this is just defies logic. But it's not something, I mean, we're in the 60s among whites, black voters, they were in the 30s on questions like this. And Hispanics, which surprised me a little bit, because you would think they'd be more sensitive to this, but they're in on it. They're in it. It's smart. It makes sense to me. And it's amazing to me. So you put all that together, you're talking about 6 in 10 Americans. And that's where we found it. I mean, the refugees, 63%, the last time we polled it, Bill, said should not continue President Obama's, resettlement program. And only 32% said they should.
Yeah, and then we find out that these protesters are mostly just astroturfed. And they're put in there by CAIR Care or the Muslim Brotherhood or George Soros. I tell you what, it's gotten to the point where everything the Democrats do at this point is fake. Fake. Everywhere it's all fake. And this is why, if they were smart, they would pull a Bill Clinton and triangulate back towards the middle. But they're not smart. They think they need to head further left. They think the message of this election cycle was not that they need to become more conservative, but they need to become more Bernie Sanders. And they just don't get it. It's amazing. They have no idea what's wrong with them.
They don't. No, they don't, Bill. I mean, we speak. I try to remain as friendly as possible. I mean, obviously, not many of them like me, but I mean, we have still, Democratic friends, and we talk about this. And I'll tell you, the party is split on what to do. It just seems that the leadership is their minds made up, and that's it. And I think what happened and why you see them completely flipping out, and this is just true, it's just a reality. They really believed they had the numbers. They did. They believed they had enough of the white working class base that they really did not have to worry about pulling a Bill Clinton, because they had, between immigration and the, different minority votes that they can put together into a powerful coalition. I have been arguing this for a long time. They still needed to hang on to their white base, and they could not do it against someone like Donald Trump. And this is only going to get worse. I don't care what Quinnipiac says. This is just going to get worse. I mean, we talk to these people every week, and they're not liking the way that they're going. If you're a Republican, you should be happy about it. But as far as division in our country, I mean, it's not good. It's just not good for the country itself.
Let me close out with this question, Richard. One of the things I've talked about on Twitter a lot is a 2018 supermajority for Republicans in the Senate. Do you see that as a possibility?
Well, we're looking at that right now. We'll actually have the map up on People's Pundit Daily. I mean, your listeners would love it.
Oh, great.
We are the conservative alternative to Nate Silver. I mean, there is no, we have the maps up and we have our ratings. We try not to put a percentage on it, Bill, because that's not really even, it's like statistics malpractice, But as far as what we've done, we looked at Ohio. Brown is in trouble. He's in deep trouble. In Missouri, Claire McCaskill is in deep trouble, and in Indiana, so we'll see. We're going to poll more as time goes on here, and it's still very early. But we have certain metrics that we ask. Would you like President Trump to have a Republican Congress to help him get his agenda, or would you like a Democratic Congress to serve as a check? And we found over the years that certain little metrics like that can give us predictive value, and right now it's all bad news for Democrats. They can lose, and they can
Too
lose
bad,
badly,
so sad.
and Republicans can end up with 61 seats.
Too bad, so sad.
So we'll see how they get when we get closer. I mean, Claire McCaskill is really good at getting right back to the center when she needs to.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Bill. The country is so polarized now. There wasn't a single ticket-splitting state in 2016.
Right.
Not a single one. Every state that voted for Trump voted for the Republican Senate candidate. So that's bad news for the Democrats if they don't figure out where they're going to go and go soon, you know.
And Trump will have had 2 years of results before then, too.
It's going to be bad.
Yeah, Trump will have had 2 years of results before then, too. Fantastic. Well, folks, this has been Richard Baris with People's Pundit Daily. He's one of my favorite pollsters out there and is a good friend of the show. Richard, how can people follow you on Twitter?
At Peoples_Pundit, and People's Pundit Daily is PPD News, at PPD News. And then, of course, you know, always on peoplespunditdaily.com.
Very good, Richard. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Richard.
All right, thanks, Bill. It was great to be here. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks. Okay, bye-bye. All right. That was a great interview. You know, you can tell it's a good interview when you just did it and you're listening to it and you're like, wow, this is really interesting. I was just there, you know, and if it's interesting the second time, it was a good interview. So thank you, Richard. That was a really fantastic interview. And we'll have him back on the show throughout the political season as polls come in and to help us to analyze them. So he's very accurate, really knows polling. So fantastic guy. And thank you for your help on that interview, Carrie. You know, he was talking about how results are coming in and these small business people. I just want to read you a little blurb from Gateway Pundit talking about the meeting that Donald Trump had with small business leaders. It says, small business owner after small business owner heap praise on Donald Trump. You know, we keep hearing that theme. People come out of these meetings and they're like, man, it's just they're so pumped, you know, they're so ready to go. He praised on President Donald Trump after meeting with the new U.S. leader in White House on Monday of his second week in office. The business owners, men, women, minorities, showered Trump with praise after their meeting in the White House. The business owners told the media how impressed they were with Donald Trump, meeting with them and listening to their concerns. At least 6 of the business owners took turns praising Trump after the meeting. President Trump signed an executive order aimed at cutting regulations for small businesses during the meeting at the White House on Monday. How in the world can the Democrats compete against this? I mean, how long can they yell Russia? You know, how long can they yell, we need more potential terrorists in our country? You know, how long can the Drummus Circulus, you know, group continue to wave signs and scream and wear funny red hats and stuff before America just says, you know, we just don't want this. And the Democrats are completely and totally losing the middle right now. I don't even know if they realize it. What do you think, Carrie?
Well, a lot of people don't understand that Trump works in phases. If you watched his campaign, he had all kinds of phases for his campaign. Yeah. And he would even say to a crowd of people that his own family was saying, Dad, you need to be presidential. Be more presidential. Yeah. And he would say, I just got to be unpresidential a little bit more longer. I've got to clean this field. I got to beat this guy. And then I'll be presidential. You just watch. You'll be proud of your president. You'll be proud of your country. And sure enough, he is. He has what they call now the charm offensive. He is bringing these, Obama never really met with these congressional leaders. He didn't want to. Donald Trump is not only meeting with them, he's showing them around the White House. He's bringing them into the dining room. He's pulling out chairs for the ladies. He's got this wonderful sense of humor. He says, let's get to know each other. I'll start. I'm Donald Trump. You know, he's just this charming, funny, and people don't expect that because they've been listening to the toxic media spew hate about this man, and he's not anything like they say. These people are meeting this man and going, what the heck? He's not anything like I thought he would be. He's a fantastic human being. He had to do what he had to do to get to where he is. But now that he's there, he is showing them respect. He is showing them all kinds of, he's listening to them. People are feeling heard. He's bringing them into the Oval Office. He's giving them time. I mean, this guy is absolutely going to. He's a master. If they don't start choosing the better route versus the bitter route.
He's a master. You know, Donald Trump is having a charm offensive, and the Democrats are having an offensive.
They're just offensive.
They're just offensive. Yeah, exactly. What do you think? What do you think, Ginger? What do you think of Trump's charm offensive?
Well, I think he's done a fantastic job. And if you look at what he did today with the helping to eliminate a lot of the government regulation on small businesses, that's going to free up our economy. It's going to create jobs. Small businesses are 64% of the private sector jobs. It's 33% of the exports. So I think in his provisions today, it was for every new regulation, you have to get rid of 2. Yeah. There's no better way to get small business people on board with you. Yeah. And then in addition to that, to as these new small businesses hire people, they're going to be in favor of it as well. They're going to see wonderful opportunities that were not there for the last 8 years. So the way that he's managing things, it doesn't matter what public perception is at this point, because we're going to get results. We're going to see them quickly, and that's what matters. And I think that he's keeping that in perspective as well. It can't be easy to see his name dragged through mud daily. I feel for him. But if he's not worried about it, I don't think we should be either.
Can I tag team on that quickly word?
Yeah.
Donald Trump used this constantly during the campaign. You're going to see changes. You're going to see them quickly. Why did he say that? Here's why I think he said that. Because he knows the laws that are already on the books.
Right.
These are laws that have already been passed through Congress. They don't need the legislative branch to put them into place. In fact, they would need the legislative branch to reverse them. He's got very conservative laws on the books. If you look at the Immigration and Naturalization Act of 1952, this is already on the books.
Right.
Do a Wikipedia. Take a look at this thing. This is conservative. This is America First stuff that's already there. Obama had a harder time of it because he wanted to fundamentally transform our nation. And that was a difficult road to hoe because the legislative branch didn't want it. The American people didn't want it. So he took the executive order route. And like you have said, Bill, all it takes is another executive order to reverse the previous president's executive orders. And that's exactly what's happened. Obama's legacy has been wiped out.
You know, under Obama, people hoped that we'd have change. And under Trump, people have hope because things are changing. And that's the big difference, that things are really changing now. I mean, all these things, this is Hoffa with the Teamsters. He's like, the Democrats have talked about all this stuff for years and nothing happened. Trump comes in and just bam, bam, that's it. It's done. And they're just, they're just amazed that how efficient this guy is. He does not mess around. And I heard that at this congressional conference that they just had, this retreat, the Republicans were talking about how, maybe it's going to take us, 2 years before we get to tax reform, and maybe it's going to take us another year before we really get of Obamacare. And Trump says, no, enough talk. Let's see some action. Let's see
he knows about momentum too. When he was in campaigning in Wisconsin, he spoke to a group of college kids, and he told them about the importance of momentum. And he told the story of a real estate agent friend of his that took like a 13-year break from real estate. And when he tried to get back into the market, it had passed him by. He lost momentum. So momentum is very, very important. We are coming off an incredible against all odds win. And we've got the wind at our backs. Let's get some action, guys.
Rock and roll, baby.
Winning is fun. It's contagious. And I hope the House and Senate catch on.
I tell you, Trump runs the presidency like the Patriots play football. You watch the Patriots. They can be ahead by 21 points with 2 minutes to go, and they're still throwing deep. I mean, they're still trying to run up the score. And that's what Donald Trump does. He's leaving nothing to chance. Every time he gets a chance, he is running up the score, because you never know when the other side is going to get a lucky break. So you got to be far enough ahead where they can't capitalize on that. And it's just really amazing and encouraging to watch. I tell you, for all those people in the middle, the never Trumpers, moderate Democrats who have been Democrats all their lives but aren't liberals, join the Trump train. This is fun. We're having a great time. We're not the standard ideological Republicans where you have to fit every idea through this little tiny ideological purity keyhole before it gets considered. Trump listens to all ideas. He sat down with Mitt Romney, of all people. He listens to all ideas. He may not do them all, but he listens. Everybody gets a chance to say their piece. And if they fit into that big picture that Donald Trump has in his mind, that they may be implemented. And people say, well, is Donald Trump going to cross the aisle? Well, if you have good ideas, he will. If you have crap and progressive ideas, he won't. But if you have good ideas that work and get results, he will. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's some people that are worried, though, that Trump isn't going to respect the Constitution. But he said during the primary campaign, he said, I am the most litigious person you've ever met. Why? Because he was a billionaire and he was trying to avoid lawsuits. He crossed every T, dotted every line legally. Instead of Sudoku in the evenings for his fun, he would read contracts to see if he could find loopholes. Yeah. This man knows contracts. He knows legal. He knows law. He loves the Constitution. Absolutely loves it. He will not go against the Constitution. For those of people out there that may be worried about it, he is not. He loves it. He respects it. But at the same time, he thinks outside the box. Instead of saying, how come we can't do this? It was, why not? Why not? Let's give it a shot.
It is amazing to watch. And I feel, you know, blessed to be a part of this whole thing. It's really, really remarkable. Well, next we have an interview with Dave from New York. Now, Dave works up in that part of the country, and so he doesn't want to release his last name, wants to be remain kind of clandestine, but that's okay. He gets good insider information for us. But he is what we call a citizen reporter on this show. Somebody's just a regular folks, just like you or I, and they go out there and they do some reporting for us and they get on the show. So there's always a possibility. Like I said, you don't have to be famous or rich or a politician or anything to be on the show. Just have a good story to tell, and you'll get a chance on Your Voice Radio. That's what we called it, Your Voice Radio, because you get a chance to express your voice. Well, this is Dave from New York. Let's jump right into this.
Tonight we have with us Dave from New York. Dave is like a sleuth. He works from his home. He has time to sniff out subjects that he's very interested in. He was on Your Voice Radio not long ago giving us the amount of federal dollars given to sanctuary cities, and we really appreciated that information. But he's got his nose on a new trail this time around. What you up to, Dave?
Hey, well, I'm tracking the Trump transition to all the nominees that are going through the process.
Mm-hmm. So what is the process like?
Well, okay, basically, you announce your nominee, and then it goes to extreme vetting process, and the big logjam is in the committee. Okay, at this date in time, in 2009, Obama had 18 nominees confirmed and in place. 18. Trump has 4. We
Amazing.
have 9 nominees that are stuck in committee that have already had hearings. Okay, the Democrats are using these delay tactics. Apparently, any Democrat on the committee can basically ask for more time. That's it. That's the excuse. We just need more time. You have examples like Sessions was delayed a week because they needed more time. It's a stall tactic. Then you have another stall tactic that they're doing is they're having, we need another hearing, or we need more paperwork. Like Zinke and Perry, right now, they're having another meeting tomorrow to go over a paperwork issue. Basically, if they didn't cross the T or dot an I. And one thing you'll see with these committees is they're doing a meeting to talk about a meeting to have a meeting. Yeah, okay, we're going to discuss the nomination of such and such. That's all they put on their schedule. And then you tune into the live stream and they say, okay, well, we need to do this and we need to it's ridiculous. That's where the delay is coming in the committee. So to recap, we've got 4 nominees right now that have been confirmed, and we've got 4 at the final step, and that's at the Senate. Okay, you have Rex Tillerson. He's being voted on tonight, 5:30. It's a cloture vote, so it's not a confirmation vote. This is Mitch McConnell filed this cloture vote to force a confirmation vote. So 5:30 tonight, that vote goes down. Then I expect Rex should get his confirmation vote Wednesday. And then tomorrow at noon, you have Chow going for confirmation. Okay, now you have the other 2 that are at the final step are Carson and Ross. Okay, so they're on the Senate, but they're waiting for unanimous consent, whatever that is. So they just popped up on the calendar. It's funny when it goes from committee to the Senate. I researched the Senate websites and the committee websites. These people just like Ross and Carson, they passed their committee votes on the 24th, right? And then they went into a black hole as far as research-wise. They're in a black hole. And then just Friday, they finally popped up on the Senate calendar. So you see that with these. My primary sources are the Senate.gov site and the individual committee sites. But when they send people back and forth, they just disappear into this black hole. So it's really kind of frustrating.
Yeah, well, they were hoping to slow Trump down. That doesn't seem to have been the case. He's going at lightning speed, whether he gets these confirmations or not. So what's next in their arsenal?
Well, I think that the delay tactics are actually working against them at this point because he's rolling out his picks. If you notice, as he rolls out his picks, he's arming them with marching orders, executive orders. You saw that specifically with John Kelly. That was a very strategic plan that they, and then what was really fascinating to me is I can't wait till Rex comes online, because he's going to close that deal about the safe spaces and safe zones.
Right.
So there's basically two waves right now coming through. The one wave is Chow, Rex, Carson, and Ross. They're coming through this week, I predict. And then you have Mnuchin, Sessions, and Price. Mnuchin is having his committee vote tonight. Sessions and Price tomorrow.
Okay.
And so now we're going to get to see a lot of how aggressive, Mitch and then there's going to be as far as scheduling the confirmation votes, because they're finally starting to trickle out of the committees.
Okay.
And I'm also be watching tomorrow for Zinke, Perry, and Davos. They have committee reviews where, and then we'll see if they're going to stall, or if we get lucky, Zinke, Perry, and Davos could get committee votes tomorrow.
Excellent. Bill, did you have a question for Dave?
Yeah, I did. Trump has just said that he is about to announce his pick for the Supreme Court that's coming up. And apparently the leader is a guy named Judge Neil Gorsuch, or Gorsuch. Do you know how to pronounce that? It's Gorsuch? Anyway, something like that. Now, with the appointees, or the cabinet choices, the Democrats don't have the ability to filibuster, but they can still filibuster on a Supreme Court appointee, can't they?
Yeah, they can. Now, the interesting thing is, basically the nuclear option can reduce any of the when it was called. You have Senate, different types of votes. You have a minority, or you have a supermajority, right? A majority vote is a win. A supermajority. If a vote requires a supermajority, that's when the nuclear option come in and reduce that from 2/3 of the Senate to just 50 votes.
51.
50 or 51. I mean, you always have Pence hanging in the background there in case you get that one vote. But the committees are raising hell and slowing things down. But what's interesting is you notice lately, like today, he had a meeting with Small Business Administration. What did he mention in the intro? I still don't have my small businessman McMahon. He keeps mentioning, I still don't have this. And what's really interesting is Child's coming online and Mnuchin's coming online, and then you're going to see some action, with regards to the infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
And, there's been talk that there's going to be Treasury bonds used to finance that. So that will not have to go through the Congress as far as a tax or anything. It's not going to cost taxpayers a dime. If that's that's something that you've heard little hints about that here and there. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited about tomorrow and the hearings, even the committee reviews, to find out what information I can glean from them. And I predict we're going to have 4 nominees this week confirmed.
Great.
And if someone cracks the whip on these people and they make them stay late Friday night, I think they can get a couple more. But I'm looking at Chow, Rex, Carson, and Ross, and then possibly Mnuchin, Sessions, and Price.
Right.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Excellent. Well, Dave, you were telling me over the weekend how difficult it is to find this information out, and we appreciate your research and your tenacity in finding out this information for us. If somebody wanted to follow you on Twitter, how would they do it?
Dave NY VIII. So it's Dave. I know. Hey.
Works for Bill.
I'm a Mitchell fanboy. What can I say? Don't put that on there. That's embarrassing.
That's okay.
Yeah, Dave NY VIII. Or you can just search Google Trump Transition Tracker. One word.
Very good. Fantastic.
Well,
fantastic.
Thank you so much for your information, Dave. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Now I tweet out every night. I tweet out at midnight everything I found out throughout the day.
Great.
Okay.
Well, people will definitely have to follow you.
One of the things I'm doing now is I'm calling the committees, and I've be calling them. The people that answer the phone, they know me. This one lady, and I was able to, like tonight's. It's so funny. You type in Google, and they'll say you'll get a report from a news agency. Say, oh yeah, vote's supposed to be happening sometime this week. I called the lady up this morning for McMahon, and she goes, "Oh yeah, that vote is going to be 10 o'clock or whatever nominee it is. If you could talk to someone, make a rapport." And I've got a rapport with a couple of people that answer the phone at the committees. I'm getting actual times.
Oh, great.
Good.
So I
Fantastic.
tweet that out at midnight every night. I tweet that out I got spreadsheets and flow charts, and I got this neat little bar chart that shows them advancing.
Fantastic.
So
Well, Dave, thank you so much.
I get those to carry.
Thanks.
You're welcome. We appreciate your research. It's something not everyone has the time to do, and we appreciate that you're doing it on our behalf.
Hey, no problem.
Thanks, Dave. We appreciate it. Talk to you soon, okay?
We'll talk
All
to
right,
you soon.
bye-bye.
Thanks. Okay, bye-bye. All right. There's another great interview today, man. This was a good start to RSBN TV. I'm happy.
I tell you what, and the things he has to do to find this information out, you'd think that our government would be transparent enough to have these things on one website, but it's not. Every committee has its own website. I mean, he has to really track this stuff down, and so we appreciate it, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, the great thing about the Trump movement, the Trump train, is we're sort of the Borg. We're sort of like the hive mind, where everybody does their little part, and we all sort of work together as a group. That the sum of our parts is greater than the whole. I think I said that right. Sometimes
the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
The whole is greater than some of the parts. Yes, that's what I meant. And folks, if you're wondering why Carrie's on the show, besides being incredibly good looking, that's it.
Two brains
she
are
helps
better
me.
than one.
She helps me. Right. I think I suffered from one tweet too many on that. I just. Anyway, Carrie, how can people follow you on Twitter?
I'm at Kellerman Carrie, KELEMENCARI.
Okay, very good. And Ginger, how can people follow you?
At Ginger McQueen on Twitter or at Beltway Times on Twitter.
Okay, very good. And Ginger, what is the name of the publication that you're writing for again?
BeltwayTimes.com.
BeltwayTimes.com. Definitely check that out. And folks, you can follow me at Mitchell VII. We also have a website for our show, YourVoiceRadio.com. To all of our new friends on RSBN TV, we appreciate you tuning in to the show. Like we said, Your Voice Radio is smart, fun radio. You're going to come here if you're feeling discouraged. You're going to leave feeling better. You're going to learn something, and you'll probably laugh a little bit and have some fun too with us. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. And you'll notice that every night we have different co-hosts, so there's a lot of variety. So you may find your favorite night and your favorite co-hosts, and definitely want to always tune in, or you can listen to us every night of the week. On Sundays, we have a roundtable where we have anywhere from 2 to 6 or 7 people on the show. It's just kind of a verbal scrum where we talk about all the things that are happening in politics. It's one of our most popular shows. And then Monday through Friday, we have 2 co-hosts and usually 1 or 2 guests on the show. So that's how it works. I think you'll enjoy it. So, well, let's go ahead and play us out this evening.
I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and we will make America great again.
Scotty is Bill. Everybody keeps asking me how can I support you? What's wrong with me? The truth is that ain't nothing wrong with me. You're just too blind to truly see the Trump side.
Thanks, folks. We will see you again tomorrow night. Bye-bye.
Good night.
So RSBN was born in a one-bedroom office in Pensacola, Florida. And once I realized the potential that we had to become sort of this new media, the people's media, I knew I had something special, and we decided to move our family to Auburn, Alabama. And so now here we are, and you know, Right Side is everything to my family. It's all we have.
I know personally for me, after graduating from college and not really knowing where I was going to go, I couldn't find a job. I applied and applied and applied, and I couldn't find a job. So I moved across the state to Auburn, Alabama, and joined Right Side Broadcasting. And I know without that opportunity, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be able to support my family.
For months leading up to graduation, I didn't know what I was going to do. I sent out my resume, I lined up interviews, and I did as many internships as I could, one after the other, waiting to find something that just clicked for me. I wanted to find a passion, and I wanted to love what I did. Finding RSBN was nothing short of divine intervention. I had spent time praying that my passion and my profession would line up.
I relocated from Colorado to Alabama to work for Right Side Broadcasting. Right Side Broadcasting has given me a platform to express my views and opinions to you, the viewers.
I moved here from Bettendorf, Iowa. We are so honored and blessed to have had the company grow as much as it has, but there's still room for us to grow.
The thing that is most important to me as far as being a part of this is the mission. True journalism survives.
I moved from Los Angeles to Alabama to work at Right Side, and you might wonder, why would I do that? Well, Right Side to me, it's a really unique chance to do news in a different way. I'm really excited to do stuff that's unique and new and different, and Right Side, I felt, is a place that can give us that chance to do that, and that's why I moved all the way here.
All of these people, including myself, rely on generous donations from people like you. Without your support, we couldn't give you the content and coverage that we offer. We exist to serve the people, and now we need your help. Please help us take Right Side Broadcasting to the next level. Thank you.